Okay, I think we can start. I would like to welcome on stage also Yaron from Speed Invest and Pavel from Point 9. Guys, we are super excited to welcome you at the event as the first marketplace meetup in Warsaw and probably in Central and Eastern Europe. Thank you for coming. We would like to thank a lot our speakers who will be on stage today. We are super excited. Are you excited to be here today? Great. So thanks a lot to the speakers. We would like to thank also the partners. So Stripe, Felix, who sponsored wonderful book for all the participants. You will find it in your goodie bag. It's personally the best business book I read in recent year. It's really wonderful. It's really hard to get in Poland, so thanks Felix for doing that. We would like to thank KPM Legal, also your advisors, financial advisor, and Domoco. That's our partners who helped us to organize the event. And of course, thanks Pavel and Jeroen for co-organizing and co-hosting. Jeroen, maybe you can tell a few words about the story of Marketplace Conference, how it started, and why we're here.
Sure. So first of all, thanks for showing up. I think it's great to see that there's so many people here. I think initially we thought, okay, let's also try to do something in Warsaw, and maybe we can get like 100 people together that are building the local, I would say, marketplace ecosystem. And I think we have been basically oversold 2 or 3 times. So, you know, as a VC would say, this was massively oversubscribed, so that's really nice. So a few words on the Marketplace Conference and why we are doing these kind of things together with the Marketplace meetups. It's a story that dated back to 2 years ago, 2018, when we saw there were a lot of like events happening for, I don't know, for SaaS companies or for fintech companies. But when you think about a really good forum where marketplace entrepreneurs and marketplace investors could come together, there wasn't too much yet. So we piloted an event in San Francisco that was, I think pretty well received. And then together last year with Point 9 and Market One Capital, we did a similar one in Berlin. I think that was very, very special to do so. And I think on the back of that, we try to do this more often because I think in every geography there's like great marketplace entrepreneurs. And I think we try to achieve that this kind of forums, like a meetup like this, will basically help build the local marketplace ecosystem further. And it also gives everybody a place where they can learn from other marketplace entrepreneurs. And it's great to have this event here in Warsaw, actually. So thank you.
What can I say? I think great to see so many people interested in marketplaces. I think today on stage we will see a bunch of folks who have successfully built marketplaces in Poland and in the region, and sharing their knowledge and experiences with what I hope is the next generation of marketplaces from here. So I'm looking forward to the discussions and super happy that we're so oversubscribed, which is great. Thanks, everyone.
So we have like 11 speeches today. All of them are great, but very different from each other, which is great, of course, which is good because we will have a wider, let's say, spectrum of know-how and content. We'd like to also welcome Joanna from Google on stage, our host when it comes to the venue and Google for Startups, to tell a few words.
Thank you. Welcome in our home. It's always for every host a great pleasure to see the full house. So Marcin and the team, thank you for the sleepless nights to make this happen. And dear guests, if you're somewhere around Tokyo, Tel Aviv, Madrid, London, Sao Paulo, please jump in other of our homes, Google for Startup campuses. Otherwise, you can virtually as well sign up as a campus member to find out about such as great happenings as this one today. And I think now it's a good momentum just to sit comfortably in your seats and relax and have fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Joanna. So I will kick off the conference, the first speech. I'm not a good speaker. I'm pretty nervous, but we'll try to make it. Not very experienced with that. Okay, so I would like to, so my speech is going to be divided into two parts. I would like to give you our, like market one, but probably it's very similar with Speed Invest and Point 9, so VCs who invest into marketplaces, like the macro and micro look and view on marketplaces. So first of all, a few words about Market One. We launched in January last year, but it's not our first fund, it's the second fund, and before we also invested since 2011 as business angels. So we are currently 35 million euro fund, fully focused on seed projects. We also do pre-seed occasionally. We follow on the businesses until Series B, so we participate in Series A, and it's planned to participate also until Series B. So we invest in seed between 200,000 euro and 1 million, and we want to have in portfolio 30 projects. Currently we have 11, and we do one investment every 2 months, like on average. And we invest all over Europe, but with a very strong focus on Central and Eastern Europe, and mainly Poland, which is a great, I would say, factory of marketplaces. So our team works from office in Warsaw, and one of the partners is also located in Barcelona. We hate him because we are very jealous. The city is lovely. So we love marketplaces. Since 2011, with current fund, previous fund, and as business angels, we invested in more than 30 marketplaces in 8 countries, mostly in Poland, but also in Germany, France, Turkey, and even in Greece. So the marketplaces we invested in are grouped into certain categories. So many of them are probably well known to you, like in example, Dog Planner, which is one of the most promising and fastest growing Polish tech company. Also Brainly, one of our recent investments together with Point 9 and Speed Invest Tier. Also PackHelp, which is a great example of B2b marketplace. And also like Symmetrical, which is a type of mix of fintech AI marketplace. Yeah? So you can find marketplace models in so many categories. Okay, so that's all about Market One. So why we love marketplaces? Because marketplaces are completely changing our daily life. Yeah? So let's imagine a couple in 90s, Grażyna and Janusz. In 90s, they contact with marketplaces was very occasional. So sometimes they probably used Gumtree in Poland or Craigslist to order a service or to look for a babysitter, or maybe they sold or bought something on eBay or Allegro in Poland. So marketplaces were pretty minor and they weren't so important as today. What happened, let's say 5 to 10 years later? We had this famous revolution and unbundle of Craigslist and unbundle of eBay, and there was a massive number of new verticalized marketplaces that started to be launched like in 2000s. And a typical couple, Marta and Wojtek, who are 25 years old, like living in 2005, they would already like book their holidays with Travel Planet in Poland or Booking.com. They would look for an apartment on Zillow or Autodom. They would heavily use TripAdvisor or Yelp. So marketplaces start to become more and more important in everyday life. But what in fact happens right now? So we can see that right now you cannot really imagine a week or even a day without a contact to a marketplace. So marketplaces completely change our like everyday life and our consumer behavior. So we order food with marketplaces. We book a hairdresser. We book a doctor visit with Dog Planner. We book a table in a restaurant with Open Table. We use Eversport and MindBody to book and attend sports activities. So marketplaces right now are covering all the aspects of our life. Probably if you look at your smartphone, you would find 5 to 10 icons and apps which are in fact marketplaces. So how it looked over time when it comes to characteristic of the marketplaces, how did they change? So in 90s, the first marketplaces were very horizontal. So Craigslist or eBay, you could find everything there. They were very horizontal and very light. So not very sophisticated when it comes to technology. They did not process payments. They were very easy products without any kind of reputation matching. Very simple sites that they were enabling just to connect between demand and supply. There were two, probably more, but two examples of marketplaces that were also launched in 90s, which were vertical, which is Booking and Netflix. And then what happened later? So the next cohort completely moved to the right and to the top in the center of the axis. So here we have like the marketplaces who became much more managed, but not fully, and more verticalized. So Booking specialized, of course, in looking for the hotel. So this is also interesting how Booking moved from being asset light to move to being verticalized, but also managed. Then we have Autodom, TripAdvisor, Zillow. And then the latest cohort is already like getting very much managed. They try to control the whole value chain from A to Z, control the demand, control payments, and most of the processes. And Netflix is a great example of a company that started being asset light, but end up currently as being fully managed. So they control the supply because they produce the supply. They produce their own content. Okay, so let's see how this evolution also developed over time when it comes to features and when it comes to skills of the marketplaces. So the first marketplace was very, I would say, simple. Its skills were limited. It could run pretty fast. It could walk, but not really more. Yeah. So it was a light horizontal marketplace its main duty was that it enabled liquidity. So it enabled demand and supply to connect. It couldn't really do anything more. So as we said before, good examples are Gumtree and Craigslist. Then, over time, it started to gain new skills. So in 2000, the marketplace started to process payments, which was a great improvement. Then it started to offer the reputation. So this was a great change for eBay, which in fact became super successful just because of those two features. And it fully disrupted its category. So eBay and Allogra are already like a bit smarter marketplaces in 2000s. We call those marketplaces horizontal plus. Then the marketplace in 2005 started to verticalize, and thanks to that, it was much better in matching demand and supply to connect the players on both sides of the marketplace. And so the good examples are Zillow, Yelp, or Booking.com. Then we have the era of high-touch curated marketplaces. So already really smart animals which learned new skills. So they offered communication between both sides of the marketplace and also started to curate the supply. Yeah? So you're not only looking for a service provider or you're on your own, but you were really recommended the certain service provider, or even like in case of Uber, Uber decides for you who will provide you a service. You are not choosing a driver. So good examples are Uber, DoorDash, and Airbnb. So what do we have right now? What's the next stage? So we believe right now is the era of smart marketplaces, like really tech heavy marketplaces which are trying to control the value chain from A to Z, to control all the processes and become data-driven. So all those skills like payments, reputation, matching, communication, and curated supply were combined into like heavy managed marketplaces. So good examples of that are Opendoor in US, which fully controls the supply, the Real or the European business tier, which in fact controls hardware, software, user behavior, payments, like all the process. Okay, so yeah, and the interesting thing is that we also see that this cohort, like the marketplaces that were created in 2010s, like Uber, Airbnb, are moving heavily into this direction. Like Airbnb started to develop their own residential buildings, and Uber started to buy cars and create their own fleet. And so this trend is really significant, and it moves also the former players on the market into this direction. Okay, so what's next? What would be the next marketplace? So we believe it's going to be even more powerful. It's going to be more tech-heavy, smarter. It's going to be data-driven. Will be controlling A to Z value chain. But what's most important, it will start to work more actively with AI. Also, on the one hand, it would be backed by AI, but also it would enable AI to the users. So it would enable software to both sides of the marketplace, which would be AI backed. So this is the future of marketplaces that we are believing in. So I think we should also talk about B2b revolution in marketplaces. This is one of the main categories and the main trends we are observing currently. So let's imagine that Kasia and Tomek are running this time a small business in Poland or wherever. So what's their contact with B2B marketplaces? It's really occasional. Yeah? So they could use Alibaba. If they are e-commerce, they could use PackHelp to order packaging. If they have like at least, I don't know, 50 employees, they could use EasyCater to order food and catering. If they have shipment needs, they could use Convoy or OnTrack. Or if they would like to have the employee benefit for their workers when it comes to meals, they could use Launching. So are we here in 90s? On the one hand, yes, because the coverage of the marketplaces, of the B2B marketplaces, is really, really low. There's lots of space to enter, but those marketplaces are not stupid. Yeah? They are not simple. They are very tech-heavy and very smart. So it's not really 90s. It's 90s when it comes to the coverage, but definitely those businesses are much, much smarter. So we believe that this is the future. Like, that's the biggest opportunity right now to enter the marketplace business, is to look what average SMB company in Poland, Europe, or wherever is missing. Yeah. So what can we disrupt? What processes a company is doing for the last 20, 30 years in the same way, in the old school, traditional way, and how it can be changed by technology. So all this massive growth and success of marketplaces is very much visible in the valuation of the top 10 most valuable private tech companies in the world. So these are the top 10 unicorns before being public. Yeah? So probably they will be listed soon, but it didn't happen yet. So out of 10 businesses, 5 of them are marketplaces. Like 50% of them are marketplaces. The same we see in Poland, or even stronger. So 4 out of 5 most successful tech internet businesses in Poland are marketplaces. Just CD Projekt is the only like non-marketplace business in here. Okay, so let's move to micro view on marketplaces. I want to like deep dive into, let's say, more deeper characteristic of marketplaces, what our team is looking for in marketplaces, and also what marketplace founders should be aware of when they start to build the marketplace. So which marketplaces work, what are the risks, and what to really look for, and also like what we are looking to marketplace and what we give points for when we examine a marketplace. So first of all, as we all know, marketplace is about connecting supply and demand, and we believe that a marketplace should always bring economic advantage. So if it does not bring economic advantage to at least one side of the marketplace, there is no really, I would say, sustainable reason and fundament for the marketplace in long run. So the great example of bringing the economic advantage on the supply side is OpenTable. So thanks to OpenTable, restaurants, they gain new customers, so they have more money, their revenue grows. But it does not bring the economic advantage on the demand side, because the pricing in the restaurant is the same. So the guest, the user, like spends the same amount of money for the service, but the restaurant have more customers. So there is probably usability and convenience advantage on the demand side, but not economic one. A similar example is Dog Planner, which definitely brings a lot of new businesses, new customers, patients to the best doctors. But a patient, if he would go to the certain doctor privately without using Dog Planner, would probably pay the same amount for the visit. Then we have like marketplaces who provide the benefit to both sides of the marketplaces. That's why they are so successful and they grew so fast. So Airbnb like helps the supply to earn more on renting a flat, and also helps the demand to find cheaper and better apartments. The same with Uber. So the drivers could finally start to earn more and like set up their own individual businesses. And for the demand, also it's an economic advantage because it decreased the average pricings of ride-sharing and taxi fares. Another thing we are always looking for and give points for is can you extend the demand when you build your own marketplace? So can you, like offering your product, offering your service, can you grow and build the market for you and benefit from it in the long run? So the great example of that is Uber and Delivery Hero. So in San Francisco, or in fact wherever, the taxi and ride-sharing business before Uber was like 5 to 10 times smaller. Yeah? So Uber offering much more convenient product, much more convenient service, and better pricing, like created a whole new market and benefited from that. So it extended the market really heavily. The same happened with Delivery Hero. So the habit to order food to take away and to deliver, this market was huge, many times smaller than it is before, thanks to Delivery Hero and the business of this kind. So also it's super important to look at the frequency. Yeah? So how often the members of the supply and demand side use the marketplace. And we have many examples here. So Wedding Wire is very heavy used on the supply side. So if I run a facility related with the wedding industry, I get customers all the time. But on the demand side, it's probably 1 or 2 times in your lifetime. So it's very, very rare. Etsy. Also, the producers of crafted goods are having the contact with the business very often, but on the demand side, it's much, much rarer. It's like probably a few times a year. And there are businesses which are super frequently used by both sides. It's also, again, Uber or Delivery Hero. So they could be used multiple times in a month. So frequency is important because it really influences your marketing strategy, your product strategy. If your business if you have a really low frequency, probably there's no sense to build a mobile app. If you have a very high frequency, the mobile app is the only solution. Yeah? So it influences your business very heavily. Okay, so loyalty between supply and demand. So in fact, we don't like when the demand and the supply are loyal between each other. It's a problem. It's a problem for marketplace because of the risk of bypassing, but it's manageable. So we know businesses which manage that problem. So when it comes to sports or hair-and beauty category, users are extremely loyal to the service providers. So usually we go to the same gym, to the same squash court, we use the same hairdresser. So why should we use the marketplace? We could contact our provider directly. So that's why those businesses struggle a lot to succeed, but it's doable if you invest very heavily into product, into convenience, and into the right business model that incentivizes all parts of the marketplace to connect. So this risk of bypassing does not exist with Uber. I don't care who is going to give me a lift today, but it was very important with Homejoy and the business that was that got probably like close to $100 million funding bankrupt because of the risk of bypassing. So someone who like booked a cleaning lady then had a very strong incentive to have a direct connection and longer cooperation with this lady, like omitting and bypassing the marketplace. So this is a risk that we always try to look at when we examine the marketplace. So also, marketplace would not work if the supply side is not fragmented, or if it's fragmented, but we know we can like assess that it's going to be consolidated in the future, because like if we have only few providers on the market, there's no sense for marketplace because demand would contact the provider itself, so it doesn't really work. Multi-tenanting problem. So in other way, we could call it a loyalty between a user and a marketplace. Yeah. So we have two, I would say, groups. So easy multi-tenanting, so very low loyalty. So I'm not really a loyal user of Uber. I would easily use Lyft or iTaxi or any other business or Bolt. The same with food delivery. So on the side of market of the demand and supply, both sides are not loyal to the business. The driver could have a few apps and could switch between them simultaneously. So this business is characterized by the low defensibility and competitive war between the players. On the other side, we have the businesses which make the customers very loyal. It's Dog Planner, OpenTable, Mindbody, and Booksy. They invested heavily into the software, which the supply side used to completely manage their whole business. So if you use Dog Planner software or Booksy software, you cannot really use their competitor software. You have to choose one. So that's why the multi-tenanting here is let's say, even impossible. Huh? Okay, so what's also important is definitely the take rate. We always look at the take rate and the potential to increase it. So if your business has, let's say, below 8%, this is problematic, it's challenging. Of course, it's doable. You can build a great business with such a take rate, but it's much more challenging. I would say that the market average is like between 15 and 25. If you have like over 35% take rate, this is amazing, and you've really found like a niche that you can really expand to greatly. Okay, so let's talk about marketing. So marketing, we are always trying to look for So we are trying to look for smart marketing approach. Yeah? So we believe that 10 years ago, if someone was great at AdWords or a great person to buy ads and to spend marketing budget, this was an advantage. Right now, we believe is a commodity. Everyone can spend money in internet. It's not a game changer. So we are looking for marketplaces and for the teams who think how to growth hack the marketing. So we currently observe three, let's say, common growth hacks that work. The first one is definitely content and SEO. Great examples of that are Dog Planner and Brainly. That creating a massive amount of unique content makes your marketing and your blended cost of acquisition super low. Then a very smart growth hack, marketing growth hack, is reverse marketing. So we could observe it at Booksy and Eversports. So Booksy and Eversports, they sold the software to the supply side, so to the sport venue or to the hairdresser, saying, okay, now pay us for the software, but convince all your users to download the app and book to you directly. So in fact, their customers brought them the tons, the millions of users for free. It was very smart. So they didn't spend even almost a penny on a paid marketing, and it grew just because of this reverse marketing growth hack. And then we have the recent, very clearly visible growth hack is viral. So we see Tier, Bird, and Lime, which are already, two of them are already like multi-unicorns. And those businesses didn't spend even $1 on marketing. Yeah? So they just used the viral and network effects to grow the businesses. So if you don't have the marketing growth hacks, you have the alternative. So the alternative is to find affordable, high-volume marketing channels. So you should definitely be sure that you have the access to the huge and affordable search volume, or you would find high-volume target groups on social media. So the last point we always try to look into is that if the marketplace that we are talking to invest, is it possible that this marketplace in long run would cover the whole A to Z value chain? So that would bring the new customers, control the CRM, control the payments, like even offer the website and branding. So this is a very, I would say, smart strategy to fully lock in usually the supply side of the marketplace and make your business very secure and build a strong fundamentals in long run. So good examples of that are Dog Planner, Booksy, and Mindbody. Okay, so thanks. I was a bit nervous, sorry for that. I'm not very experienced in speaking, so I hope you guys have this marketplace with you. We hope you would found one. Our team is today like on the spot, very happy to talk to you about your businesses. So thanks, and I'm happy for the questions.
Patricia from Cash Director. Any industries or sectors of the economy in Poland right now where you still see lots of potential for new marketplaces?
Yeah, so definitely, I would, if I would be a founder and would look for an opportunity, I would definitely think about B2b segment. So I would try to get myself into the shoes of like a business owner and think, okay, how do I order transport, or how do I order coffee or whatever, what processes in my company are done for the last 20, 30 years in the same way, and how they could be changed by technology. So I think there's lots of space in here. In B2C category, there's of course space, but we have like the third generation of marketplaces that disrupt already the older marketplaces that cover certain areas. But in B2B, I think the space is very, very big.
Hi, thanks for your speech. I'm Igor. I help to launch and grow online marketplaces. You probably talked to a lot of marketplace entrepreneurs and you heard a lot of ideas. So I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite marketplace idea which impressed you a lot, and whether it was viable in a long-term run?
So which marketplace I'm impressed with? Yeah, it's really hard, yeah. So of course I cannot be very objective here. So definitely I love Dog Platter. I'm involved with the company since the early beginning and observe how it grows. Lucian will just talk about it right after my speech, how they grew the business to 1,500 employees. Yeah, so I love the company because it's also very sustainable when it comes to what they provide. Yeah, so they are operating in a sector which is crucial for our life. So it's not, let's say, temporary like innovation, but it's healthcare was always the top priority and will always be. So I love businesses who cover those really important matters in our life.
Hi, good morning. Jakub from Adyen. I wanted to quickly get back to your comment, which I fully agree with, that Poland is a goldmine of great marketplaces. But to maybe dig a little more, what's your idea on the reasons behind so many successful startups coming from Poland that are actually marketplaces? What do you say is this underlining, reason for success?
Sure. So the reason for that is that that's also part of our investment strategy, that we believe that you should invest in marketplaces on the markets which are big enough. So I wouldn't really look very deeply for a marketplace in, I don't know, Latvia. Of course, you have exceptions. You have businesses that are huge, coming from small markets, but these are the exceptions. So the natural home markets of marketplaces are big economies, because the marketplace needs a market to gain this initial traction to build the playbook. And it's easier to do it before going internationally, because going internationally, of course, it's superb. It's number one priority as well, but it's easier to build a playbook within the one market, which is really big. So that's one reason, and the other is so of course, like we have great developers. No, I think there's just one reason.
Hi. Okay, I have a question. So let's assume that you invested at seed round and everything's going great, and you are just about to, the startup is just about to get the round A. So who would be your ideal co-investors or investors for the next round, for the startup that's going really well?
I don't know. I guess VCs very often invest in, let's say, trusted syndicates. It's super important who you work with in long run. So it's the same, I would say, mechanics work. Like if you decide to have a co-founder, it's the same like if we would like another VC to co-invest with us. So I would definitely recommend the guys sitting here in the first row. So Pavel, you're on, because we did many deals together. So I don't know how to answer your question. Yeah.
Okay. Hello. So you talked about high take rates. The higher, the better. But do you agree that the high take rates attract more competitors?
Of course, yeah, definitely. So usually the really high take rates, they occur when you are, let's say, a first mover in the category. So interesting case is the Stasher, a business in which Apostolos, who would be a speaker today, invested in with venture friends. So the marketplace to store your baggage. So when you travel to Rome, you have like 20 kilograms baggage. You want to walk around the city, so you want to leave it somewhere. So this is a completely new market, and you can get even like 40-50% of take rate because you started. So, but when the competition comes, this take rate will go down, but for sure will not decrease to like 8%, 10%. So this works definitely.
Hi, Simon from HCM Deck. Great presentation, thank you. What are your thoughts on enterprise marketplaces? And can you mention some like super successful marketplaces in that space? Mm-hmm. And also the question, will you share the presentation after on as a file? Thanks.
Yeah, so all the presentations today and all the speeches are recorded and would be, the videos would be later on accessible for everyone. We will distribute the link to all the materials. And when it comes to enterprise, I think the good example is Convoy or OnTrack. So they contact enterprise companies who have like huge shipment needs and close the deals to completely like cover their shipment requirements. Yeah, so I think definitely in B2B sector you would definitely have marketplaces covering enterprises. Yeah.
Hi, Maciek. I'd like to ask, because you mentioned that you invest in seed and pre-seed also. So what is the starting level for a startup? So it's, let's say, take rate is 25% or more, but what level of revenues should be there, or you invest in pre-rev also? Yeah,
so we definitely like to invest when we see the initial traction, initial liquidity. So we see the first signs of market fit. It could be very early, the revenue could be also very little, but we see that the users are super happy, the NPS is high, and it just works on a very like small level. But also we do exceptions and invest in pre-seeds when we are completely in love with the founder. Even if it's pre-seed, pre-product, if the category is super exciting, it's huge, it's the first mover, the founder is serial entrepreneur, and a great guy, then we could do it.
Hi, Eric from Jet Seafood. How do you look at the PSD2 directive coming in now for opportunities within the B2B marketplace? As I see it, it's easier to take the payment for the marketplace and therefore add the stickiness.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I wouldn't be able to answer this question to you for sure. Later on, someone from my team who is more into the legal, I would say, trends would be happy to discuss it. Yeah.
Are those fully integrated marketplaces, like the superhero marketplaces, still marketplaces?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The definition of a marketplace was to connect demand and supply and to be the intermediary. But right now, like I think this definition really changes when the marketplace start to control everything, like Airbnb building residential houses in New York or on Florida, and then like renting those rooms to guests. Like, is it still a marketplace? On the one hand, it is, because we have network effects, we have the choice of the customer.
It's like Hilton, right?
Yeah. Maybe not exactly. Yeah, like I don't think the Hilton has a network effects, but like the network effects when it comes to Lime are super visible. Yeah, so like the more limes you have in the streets in certain locations in certain timing, the more users are attracted. The more users are attracted, there are more limes. So you have the essence of marketplace works when it comes to Lime. Yeah, it works. But you do not connect supply and demand. You connect demand with your business. Yeah, but like the essence of marketplace is still there. With the Hilton, I don't see really network effects with Hilton.
Like McDonald's, right? It's everywhere. It's like a marketplace, kind of, for hamburgers.
Yeah, I wonder, Pavel, what's your opinion on that too?
I think it's a question that is valid,
yeah,
and
true.
I think this peer-to-peer thing, it's like in money, right? There is no peer-to-peer lending company that remained a peer-to-peer lending company. So this peer-to-peer marketplace thing is like a way to get into the market with very little capital, and then you build an audience, and then you can attract the money to build your own supply, and you stop being a marketplace in a way, but the marketplace is a way to bootstrap yourself into a market, maybe.
Yeah. True. I guess like also we can see lots of hybrids. Yeah. So you start with typical marketplace like Uber, then you have in certain locations you control it more. Like Airbnb has a mix. Yeah. Also the franchisee model is also like, let's say, semi-controlled managed marketplace. Yeah. So we could really say that McDonald's is a marketplace because it's a franchisee model. So yeah, but definitely this is a question mark. If we could still call WeWork, an example, a marketplace. Yeah? On the one hand, it controls the demand and supply and does lots of upsell and like has, let's say, kind of an API to all service providers, and that's their business model. But on the other hand, it's a real estate company. So yeah. Cool. Thank you, guys.